Ashley at Bookish From, and I'm just still in the same jacket. I'm still in the same jacket because I have not changed, and that's okay, because, you know, it wasn't my intention or plan to change or anything like that, because I'm literally sitting in the same spot I've been filming for the past couple of hours, so this is great. But here we are with another fave video. So you guys have now officially seen my worst books of 2019, my favorite YA middle grade books. You've seen my favorite romances, and now it's time for my favorite adult books. So there are only 5 that I've included on this list. I am trying to do better about reading more adult books. I think this year is the year that I've actually delved more into adult than I have in past years. So let's go ahead and jump in because my battery looks like it's about to die, which is going to be a shit show, but hey, whatever. So the first book that I have on this list is Pachinko by Min-Jin Lee, and this is one that I listened to in audio because my library was getting the author to come here and do a talk and signing. Although I wasn't able to attend, I did enjoy this book thoroughly, and I'm glad that I did listen to it. It's a long audio book because the book itself is a little, either depending upon what edition you have, whether you have Kindle, paperback, or whatever, you're looking at close to 500 pages or a little over 500 pages, and it is a great insight to the relationship between Japan and Korea. It is kind of like a familial story telling. It's generational, so you see like the story builds on one set of characters after they've had kids, and they have kids, and then they have kids, type of thing. I've only read one other one like that, and that was Homecoming by Y'all Jesse, and I really enjoyed that, which I need to make a note that that's one that I need to reread in 2020. But this one really opened up my eyes to racism from a different perspective. I think a lot of times, even, and you know, I'm getting on myself about this, I think a lot of times we look at racism as the dynamic between black and white people, and we don't really look at it through any other lens. And this one definitely forces us to see racism through the perspective of a different lens, and a lot of things that Koreans went through in terms of Japanese and how they were discriminated against and how they were looked down upon, how people would find ways to try to get out of identifying as Korean. It was a very heart-wrenching book. I wouldn't say that it's anything that's plot heavy because it's very much literary fiction. The only downside to this one is I did not like the voice change in the book because it's not clearly identified when the voice is changing, and it takes a while to figure out that the voice has changed. When I listened to it on audio, I kind of had to rewind it a couple times to figure out that the voice had been changing, and that it was a different character. But other than that, like, I thought it was very, very well written, and I definitely would pick up more works by this author. The second one on this list is Here Comes the Sun by Nicole Y. Dennis Ben, and this book is, the title alone is a misnomer. It's not a happy book. The cover is so beautiful, and the title is like indicative of, like, you know, sunny, happy, fun times, warm, and this book is anything but that. It takes place in Jamaica, and I love the fact that it takes place in Jamaica. I'm trying to get into reading more Caribbean authors, and I listened to this on audio, which I thought was just so well done. But it's about a pair of sisters, and you know, one is running a hotel, and she has sex for money, and she uses the money to keep her sister in school, and her sister is being forced kind of into the position of the one that's going to make it out. You know, like, you have that one where the family knows that they're not in a good position, and they have the one person in the family that everybody contributes towards because they want that one person to make it out of the situation that they're in. And her sister's kind of being forced into that, even though her sister wants to explore different things and be different things, but she's being forced into this academic rigor that will get her into a good university, and you know, but she wants more than that, and she starts dabbling some stuff. This book touches on a lot: prostitution, colorism, racism, poverty. Oh gosh, it's so many topics that are discussed in this, but I think definitely the colorism is one that really touched on me heavily, because I know that coming from family that is Jamaican. I know that can be an issue, like being dark skinned and trying like skin lightening products is a thing. And that's nothing new, and I think that the author does a very well job in like bringing that to light and addressing that, and how difficult it can be for a darker skinned individual to flourish sometimes in some communities. But I thought that this book was just exceptionally well written. It was definitely hard to read. There is no happy ending. I was listening to the last 5 minutes of this book and I was like, oh, it's going to get better. It's going to get better. There's something's going to happen and this is just going to get better. It doesn't. Like, and there are a couple books I read this year that are like that, where like the ending is not happy, but it's not supposed to be a happy ending. So I really appreciated that one. And she just published a book this year called Patsy, and I plan on listening to that one on audio as well. I've heard so far that that one is even better than Here Comes the Sun, because she's developed more as a writer, and that gives me great feelings, because I thought Here Comes the Sun was a well-written book too. The third one on this list is called The Midwife by Jennifer Worth. I read this one for Nonfiction November, and I really honestly picked it up because I needed to read more nonfiction, and I need to do better about that in 2020. But this is one that I thought I would listen to on audio, because I'd watched 3 seasons of the TV show on Netflix, and I thought that the TV show was so great. I need to start back watching that soon as well, because I binged the first 3 seasons. But I really enjoyed this this book. I listened to it on audio. I think that this is kind of a pattern. I think that a lot of my literary fiction and a lot of my nonfiction needs to be on audio, because that's the way that I can process those books easiest. But the narration was phenomenal. It was great hearing about her experience in East London, and how poverty affected pregnant women, and just hearing about the differences and how medicine has evolved from like the 1950s to now when it comes to obstetrics, you guys know what I'm saying. And how the experiences of pregnant women has changed, and even the involvement of contraception. You know, you get in the beginning of the book that there are women who were having 10, 15 kids. Like, y'all, I had one and I can't even imagine. I'm debating about whether I want to have another one. And it's amazing that I, as a woman, can say, you know, now 2020 almost, like I can say whether I want to have another kid or not. Like, I can make that decision, whereas, you know, the 1950s, no contraception, you know, if you're sexually active, you pretty much are like at risk of being pregnant all the time. So it was so interesting comparing that experience, my experience that I had now, to the experiences that a lot of women had, you know, 50, 60, 70 years ago. So I know that there's 2 other books in that series, and I definitely think that I'm going to pick them up. I don't think my library has them on audio, which is such a sham, but I think those are ones that I think I can read in physical form. The next one that I read was a mystery / thriller, and I put a couple of these on hold this year. I'm still on hold at my library on my Overdrive app, so I probably will start the new year with a lot of mystery and thrillers being read, because I put them on hold. They're like new releases, and I put them on hold towards the end of the year, and there's so many people waiting for them. But this is one that I did get in enough time, and Lock Every Door by Riley Sager was so freaking good. I really don't even want to say anything about the book, because I just don't want to give anybody an inkling of what the book can be about. Like, I talked about it a little bit in one of my vlogs where I was like, I thought the book ended one way, and then there was another ending, and it was an ending that I never would have thought was possible in a million years. Because I was right along with the narrator, like what their thoughts were about what was going on, and then like it was like a complete twist, and I was like, what? That's what happened? I couldn't believe it. It was so good. Yeah, I'm not telling you anything about the book, like nothing. I don't even want to tell you the synopsis of the book. Like, if you're interested in the synopsis, you can go check it out on Goodreads, but I recommend going into this one blind, just go blind. And the last book on this list is The Skeleton Stuffs a Stocking by Lee Perry. I actually got sent this one for review and I really enjoyed it. It is the 6th book in a cozy mystery series. So I haven't read the first 5, but I really liked it because it was so unique that you have a main character that's actually a skeleton. Like, that's not something that happens every day. And I was very intrigued by the fact that the author was able to incorporate a skeleton into the storyline and write something that was so interesting. Of course, it has your typical cozy mystery elements. Some of it is pretty traditional, pretty recycled, but just that element alone made it a very interesting book and one of my favorites in the adult category for the year. Alright y'all, so those are the top 5 adult books that top 5 favorite adult books of 2019. Let me know in the comment box what some of your favorites were in the adult category, if you read adult books, or just tell me like some adult books that you're interested in checking out. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're interested in seeing more content from me, click the subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications. And if you're interested in following me on social media, all my links will be down in the description box below. As always, I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll be back with another video soon.